Oh,
Off to a great start.
it's hard. Oh, how do I do it? I forgot how to ride a bike. Whoa!
I hear it's like riding a bike.
I think
pretty good.
our whole game should just be us chuckling at you crashing.
I'm sure it will be, whether we want it to be or not. Welcome back to Game Informer. I'm Leo Vader. We are looking at Lonely Mountains Downhill, one of the best games of the year. We've got Matt Miller here.
Hello.
And Brian Shea.
Hey.
Now, Matt Miller, this placed on your list, right, for top 10?
Yeah, very highly, I believe.
Very highly.
Mm-hmm.
Can you describe what you love about it?
I like how well you're doing at it right now.
Going the right
uphill.
direction and
Lonely
everything.
Mountain uphill.
This is a lonely mountain uphill.
How am I supposed to know you're supposed to go downhill? Where did they tell you that?
Yeah, Leo's exploring a mountain he's never explored before, I believe. Is that accurate?
That is
I
accurate.
mean, I would never be able to tell because it's going so well.
Oh, too much.
Lonely Mountains Downhill. How do I? Okay, so this is sort of a race against yourself kind of a game, right? You're kind of making your way down these various mountains and the different trails on the mountain, and you're trying not to crash too many times, and you're trying to get to the bottom of the mountain as quickly as possible. Those are pretty much the only objectives you're ever pursuing. Sometimes you're pursuing one or the other of those. Sometimes you're trying to do both. And
Very quiet, very serene.
it is.
I think that's what I like the most about it is like it's this arcade bike riding game.
It's super relaxing.
But it's not like
yeah.
like some like crunchy guitar music or
I-
like synth heavy adrenaline pumping music. It's like
I feel like that was a design decision that they made that like locked this game in. That if they had gone for a more traditional choice of having this be like, you're being a crazy mountain biker, look at you go off jumps, and everything was loud and in your face, and they were splashing up
You're hinting at
big
Trials.
graphics at you, but it works in Trials, right? I mean, I have a fondness for the Trials
Me too.
game.
For sure.
I like this better, I'll say, but I like those Trials games. It's just that here, because they've gone for this kind of super chill nature aesthetic, the quiet soundscape thing is a perfect fit, and I really, really like it.
so.
I like the style, too.
I think
Yep.
I've heard you describe this as Trials meets Marble Madness.
I think that at least to
Interesting.
initially understand it, that's a good starting place, right? You have that kind of isometric vibe of a Marble Madness where you're kind of controlling your marble isn't a protagonist in that game, but you're controlling your thing that is going down the hill as it gets increasingly out of control as you go at higher speeds, and you've got to kind of like know when to dial it back and know when to lay into the faster sprints and that kind of thing. But it also has that sort of fierce competition against yourself quality that the Trials games do. And beyond that, checkpoint miss. So
Was I going too slow?
I know you probably found a good shortcut, but sadly, I think you might be on an entirely different trail now or something.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the first trail, I believe.
think it
now.
is.
yeah, I
Yeah.
recognized it.
You just went to what you knew.
So there's 4 mountains with different trails.
Yeah. We'll go. Well, before we're done here, we'll look at one of the other mountains. But
I wonder if you were supposed to hit that first jump across the rocks, and you've just been on the wrong trail this entire
yeah.
I think
time.
that's what
very,
happened.
very possible.
Well, I made it.
Why don't you go down to the river there? There you go.
Oh no!
Yeah,
back at the
that's-
start.
All right, let's go across that giant jump and see if. All right, or just
Oh no!
or just
Well,
hesitate.
we can also go look at the other mountains if you want to.
Yeah,
that
that
would be
seems
fine.
like a good idea. See how far I get here, though.
I think there's some fun stuff in the game about you're unlocking different bikes. So right now you're riding with you're driving us around here, Leo, with one of the bikes that is real good at jumps.
As you can
As you can
see.
tell.
Well, good at landing jumps, right?
Sure. There is no jump button.
And there's no jump button, but you do make jumps, and you need to be able to land them. And there are bikes that you can be going along and they're super fast, but they just don't have good enough shocks to be able to land the big drops.
Sure.
One of my only real critiques of the game is that some of these bikes, I mean, they're almost, think about them, if it was an RPG, they'd be kind of like your classes, right?
Yeah.
And they unlock real slow. You have to go through a lot of challenges in the game before you get a decent mix of the different bike styles. And I don't love that, just because part of the game is about that sense of exploration and trying things in different ways. That's what I like about the, when you're going down the mountain, you try this trail and you're like, oh, okay, that took me 10 seconds to get between the checkpoints. So let me do it again, and I'll go the other path, and that one took me 8 seconds. So that's like my better path. So I like that, and I like it even more once you're trying it with multiple bikes, right? Where you're like, okay, I've got my good jumping bike right now. I'll try to do that one path and see how it goes, and then I'll do that same path with one of the other ones. Now that eventually opens up, because you do unlock everything gradually. Ooh. But it takes a little bit too long.
Sure.
Now that said, that's kind of a small critique in what I otherwise think is a really beautiful game that's great fun to return to night after night. You come home from a hard day at work or at school or whatever, you pop this on, you get some bird song, you get some wind in your hair, and you see if you can improve your time a little bit. It's pretty great.
Is this the best bike game of 2019?
I think it is.
Wow.
I mean, there's a lot of
Easily.
bike games. There's Knights and Bikes. There's
Oh yeah, I forgot about
Name
that.
some more.
Days Gone.
Yeah.
Trials Fusion.
Well,
this
it's
year?
certainly my favorite bike.
Marvel
game of
Strike
the
Force put Ghost Rider in it.
Good point.
It's it's just one that I find myself coming back to a lot. I'm just seeing some of the some of the other mountains. And
Sierra Rivera.
yeah, I mean, they, as you might expect, some of the trails get pretty rough. But why don't you use the
See some of
next
these
one
bikes.
over? I mean, they're not going to look a lot different from one another. But if you go one over from
How do I
there,
switch?
Oh, is it because you're using the no time
oh yeah,
limit?
you
Oh, you're-
actually might be on a dedicated. You have to use this bike kind of situation. Is that what's going on
Why
here?
is that?
Doesn't appear as that's the case.
Yeah, so like turn
Oh,
off
it
the
says
remove
grasshopper
challenges.
required on the
yeah,
one.
exactly. So
Oh, yeah, you gotta hit Y to
remove
remove.
challenge, and then remove the other challenge, and yeah, now you just go and you just go and explore.
Just ride.
There
you
we
Do the
go.
pace
There
breaker.
we go.
Pace Breaker.
That's a good kind of all rounder. I think it's a pretty good bike. So yeah, I have a blast with this. I find myself coming back to it a lot. It's not really a game. I mean, I guess you could say that you could finish it, in the sense that you eventually might unlock absolutely everything. I will be the first to say that I have not, but I have put in plenty of time, and I've gotten all the mountains, and I just find that there's enough variety there to keep me engaged.
That's a good guess.
That was a nice try there, Leo. There's also, I think, people who
Leo,
follow
no.
Game Informer know that one of the things I really like in a game is when you can make losing fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And losing is fun in this game, right? Like, when you crash into that rock, it just kind of makes you giggle.
This is very goofy.
And like in the kind of Super Meat Boy style, you're right back into the action at a relatively
yes,
recent
that
checkpoint.
is great.
Which I really appreciate.
Tony Hawk style.
Yep.
We love it.
So, you know.
Oops.
You might land it.
Oh, he didn't.
Maybe I landed it below camera. You
It's
know,
true.
we didn't see.
There's no way to know.
No way to know.
Aside from the crunch of your bones hitting the ground.
Yeah.
So that's Lonely Mountains Downhill. I think it's well worth checking out. It does have one thing we haven't talked about is it's got a pretty extensive like leaderboard system, which is great both for knowing you can have that wonder when you in the early hours of playing of looking at some of the times on a given route and being like, that's impossible. There's no way somebody actually got through that in this time frame.
Yeah.
But you can, and you slowly sort of can compete against those really awesome times. But it's also helpful because you will look at your your own timings on the leaderboard and be able to look for places that you really need to improve, right? You can look at literally individual checkpoints and be like, wow, I'm doing really well. I'm making improvements on checkpoint 4, 5, and 6, but checkpoint 3 is still a total disaster.
Right.
And I'm regularly like losing time there, and I'm in really poor positioning compared to my other checkpoints on that one. So I must be missing something there, and that helps you kind of figure out where you're going to go next and what you're going to focus on.
Yeah, it's a cool game.
Also, something that I think is worth pointing out for people who may want to check it out after seeing this video, there are 2 different control schemes that was very helpful to me because I like the one where it just goes in the direction that you're pointing the left stick.
Right.
But Leo is currently using the one that is left and right relative to the rider themselves.
So he's a crazy man, is what we're saying.
Yeah, I think Miller and I both like the one that's just, it goes in the direction you're pointing the stick.
I mean, to be fair, I think Leo is doing the purer experience.
Sure.
here.
Well, you know, I'm a bike rider myself.
I'm
That's true.
sure.
And this just feels more natural.
Right.
Before we end this video,
What a sprint.
if I beat the rest of this in one go,
Yes.
the viewer has to hit subscribe.
Wow. Big stakes.
That's right.
Oh.
The bet. I can barely see the path. Oh!
Well,
You
no
guys got lucky this
subscription
time.
today.
That's fine. Yeah, you got up easy.
Now everybody who watched it has to unsubscribe.
That's right. Dang it. You know, I
What
play
an all-time backfire. The Game Informer YouTube channel is now dead.
Yeah.
It's too bad.
Thanks,
Too bad.
guys. We've got a lot of Game of the Year videos up right now, celebrating all our favorite games of the year. So keep watching. Love you.